There is a specific mitzvah saseh for a Jew to be happy on Yom Tov, specifically on Sukkot. And part of the question that a person should ask himself is, how can that be? And I believe the answer to this can be shown to us from a pasuk in the Chumash. In the Tochacha, the Torah tells us, many, many bad things will befall you. Many, many terrible calamities, catastrophes will befall the Jewish nation if you don't serve Hashem properly. And at the end of a long list of horrible, horrible situations, the Torah says, Tachas asher lo avadatas Hashem Elokecha. All of this came about because you didn't serve Hashem your God, b'simcha ubetov leiv, with joy and happiness merov kol. All of this occurred because whilst you had it good, you weren't happy, you weren't besimcha. Rabbi Bachai explains to us why this is. He says that when a Jew does a mitzvah, it must be done b'shleimus, with completion. A Jew must do a mitzvah with kavana, with tremendous understanding and intent, and he must do it with simcha, and if not, the mitzvah is lacking. And Rabbi Bachai tells us that this seems to be one of the key ingredients in properly performing a mitzvah. And I'd like to ask the obvious question, and that is, simcha is nice, simcha is important, but it's hard to hear that the entire future of the Jewish nation hinges upon doing mitzvahs with simcha. Imagine for a minute a man puts on tefillin. He wears tzitzits, he learns, but it's not done with the ultimate joy, happiness, and satisfaction. Therefore, that's going to lead to the tochacha, it's going to lead to catastrophes, to the destruction of the Jewish nation. Simcha may be nice, but it's very difficult to see how it's so pervasive, so significant, so pivotal to the future of the Jewish nation. And I believe the answer to this question is that simcha, joy, is both a siman and a siba. It's both a cause and a result. When a Jew understands why he's here, when I recognize the fact that I was created, put here for a few short years, and I recognize the fact that every mitzvah helps me, shapes me, makes me into a different human being, when I recognize the fact that every mitzvah that I accomplish changes myself and changes the world, there's a tremendous drive in my doing of those mitzvahs. When I have that understanding, and I grow, and I accomplish, I feel a tremendous, deep sense of satisfaction, joy, and happiness. Ultimately, Hashem created us to grow. Ultimately, a human being who grows, who accomplishes, feels satisfaction, joy, and happiness, and nothing else brings it to him. When a person has that joy, has that happiness, the mitzvahs that he does, that he accomplishes, are done with a super firepower. They're done with a tremendous amount of zrizus, with energy, with alacrity. He does it in a very different manner. The difference between a mitzvah done with zrizus, with tremendous energy, and not, is a huge, huge distinction. Either the Jew is going up or he's going down. He's never stagnant. If a Jew practices a mitzvah with energy, with zeal, with enthusiasm, he's rising, he's accomplishing, he's growing. If he does the mitzvahs as whatever, just happening, he's in a state of stagnation. He begins falling. The key point isn't simcha per se. The key point is recognizing why you're doing things. When you understand life, when you understand what you're accomplishing, that fills you with joy. That joy motivates you further. The mitzvahs are done with alacrity, with zrizus, with enthusiasm. Your entire existence changes and you go up. If you don't understand why you're here, the mitzvahs are done lackadaisically, without much enthusiasm, and you begin the slow decline. The entire fate of the Jewish nation pivots on this. Why? Because the Jewish nation as an entity either goes up or goes down. The way they practice their avodas Hashem, the energy that they do it with, is exactly the pivot point, because at the end of the day, if it's not done properly, they begin becoming lackadaisical, lazy, without enthusiasm. They sink level after level. If they do it with energy, they rise level after level. The key to it all is understanding why we're here. If a person understands the why, there's a tremendous lust for life, a love of life, and a tremendous joy when they practice the mitzvahs. If they don't understand why they're here, it's whatever, and they begin falling. Tachas asher lo varata, the reason why the pivotal point is simcha is because it's both an indicator of your understanding and it's the firepower behind the mitzvah. If you understand why you're here, you understand the value of the mitzvahs, that causes you to have a tremendous love, a tremendous happiness, tremendous simcha in doing the mitzvahs. That love, that happiness, that simcha drives you to do the mitzvahs with great enthusiasm, and ultimately whether you rise or fall, whether the Jewish nation ends up the exalted nation or the oppressed people, is dependent upon that.